Hello there, Tricia. Just wanted to shoot a quick video here for you. Sometimes I'll shoot these videos just to give folks a little more in-depth view of their computer. I've got your computer all opened up here, of course. Got it disassembled, and it's just easier to point out a couple of things really quickly here while I've got it all in pieces. The original issue, of course, was that the hinge area would seem to be loose on the open and close, is a little bit wobbly. And it turns out my original, what that normally means is that on the hinges, and I have your hinges right over here separated out. This part here was busted right at the seam there, a little crack. That's not entirely crucial, but it can add up when you look at other issues. Usually what I find, you know what, I need to do this part first. Let me show you how this guy comes apart. Your keyboard comes off, the top cover here piece comes off. That could use a good cleaning, actually. And this is the bottom piece. The bottom base, rather. The motherboard is still in here. This black stuff has just got it covered up. But up here is where I usually find, in this model, this kind of weird plastic piece comes out too. What I usually find, what I think I recall pointing out to you when you were here, is that these little metal grommets are usually broken, or the plastic that they sit in is broken. That's more often than not when there's hinge issues, it's because that's happened. But in this case, that one looks good, that one looks good. Over here they look good too. I had this up earlier. So it's not that, nor is it up on the reverse side of the hinge. The hinge, of course, fits into here. Pardon me. Actually, this piece goes in first and then the hinge goes on. And up here where it screws into the top part was okay too. No loose screws, no busted plastic pieces. So what that means is that on this model, and let me place these back over here, what's going to need to be replaced is the LCD cover. And let me show you here. Let me scoot this guy out of the way. Pardon me for being a little long-winded here. I just like to give folks as much information as possible. Here's your LCD screen. Screen comes out. Screen appears to be fine. Set that out of here. This is the piece that I'll be including in your estimate. And it contains, this model's a little bit weird. I've seen this before. I've never repaired this before, but this tube here, this is plastic, and it is broken. It needs to be all in one piece, and it's not. And that is where the wobbly excuse me wobbliness comes from. It could be that this one hinge back over here being busted the way it is a contributing factor, but a new LCD cover, and you'll recognize this piece. I'm pretty sure I can source one of these pretty easily. I got Dell suppliers local. Get a new one of these. It will have this piece attached. It will have new hinges. It will have these Wi-Fi cables hanging out. These are always hanging out all over the place. So that's going to be what is the main issue. A new one of those with new hinges. Let's see. What else was I going to show you? Let me put this over here. I do think that your laptop could use a good cleaning, and I'm going to include that in the quote as well. Oh, I'm sorry, before I talk about that, let me do the bezel really quick. This is the bezel, B-E-Z-E-L, caught on the wire there. More common word nowadays, now that all these gadgets and gizmos, tablets and whatnot, everything, all of them have a bezel. Well, almost all of them. So on yours, I could see when I took it off, it had on the back of it some kind of glue or some kind of epoxy or something going on here. And when I disassembled it, as I mentioned before, when you disassemble a machine that has issues like this, you know, it broke. Whatever seal was created by whoever did this work right here, that seal was broken when I took it apart. I don't think I'll be able to duplicate this, or I try to avoid super glue and things like that. My preference is to get new parts, because that's the only thing I can be sure of. In this case, a bezel, you know, bezels are usually not that expensive, so I could probably get a new one. Or I'll include that in your estimate, by the way. And I'll see if I can remove this groovy little heart here and put it on the new bezel. And speaking of when you disassemble and stuff going on, when I disassembled this machine, here are some little plastic shavings and pieces that came out. It just reflects that whatever damage was done previously, some of these parts, and I may have dropped a couple more, were just sitting in there, so they all come out. So what I would like to do is clean all this out for you, because one more thing on the back here, sorry to be kind of long-winded, but just want you to have all this information. This is the back of your computer, of course. Your optical drive slides in here, battery goes up there, of course. This here is the processor underneath here, And this copper piece is your heat sink, and it transfers the heat from the processor, that's where all the heat comes from, by the way, out here to the ventilation port. And the fan's job, of course, is just to blow that heat out. Well, there must have been some kind of spill or something previously, because this discoloration, this is kind of, see if we can get a good view here. I don't know what this is. I don't think we have to replace the heat sink, but I would like to try to clean some of that off. I have a couple of ways of doing that, and I'd also like to blow out the fan because it's a little bit dusty and stuff tends to accumulate in there. Excuse me. While we've got it open, it'd be good to do that, just preventative maintenance. And let's see, I'm not sure what all that. What I'm going to do, what I would like to do, and I'll put on the estimate, is we're going to remove this heat sink altogether and clean all that out really good. Make sure there's nothing in there getting in the way, because overheating is not something that you want to have. And that is it. Sorry again for the long-winded nature of this video, but now you have some good information, and we'll be in touch.